and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is the day. It's Tuesday, and it's May 21st, and this is episode 64. How are you? I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel, Ravelry and Plurk, or the Fat Squirrel, SQRRL, on Twitter and Instagram. So if you'd like to follow me there, you can do that, okay? Okay. Or you just watch the show, okay? Okay. My beautiful hairdo is a public service to make you all feel prettier today. You're welcome. You're welcome. My redhead in a red shirt and pigtails at the age of almost 35. You're welcome. Don't you feel pretty? Shenanigans. There really aren't very many shenanigans this week. Last week I told you about my friend who's having a baby. She did have her baby. She had shenanigans. She had a 10-pound, 5-ounce baby. What? She's like 5 foot nothing. Like, she's a rounder girl, but she ain't very tall. Okay. 5 foot nothing, had a 10-pound, 5-ounce baby. Just in case you were worried, there was like no gestational diabetes or mutations or anything. Like, there's not like a reason the baby was humongo, except that it was humongo. None of her other babies even been remotely humongo. I mean, one was 8 pounds and something. One was, I think, smaller than that. I'm a bad friend, I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. 10 pounds. 5 pounds. Can we discuss that I was a little jealous? What is that about? My baby was like 8 pounds-ish. What? I'm huge. I should have had a 10-pound baby. Like there's some weird baby competition where I'm like, whatever. Your brain does stupid stuff, right? Right. So that was shenanigan on her front. I did not go visit yet. I don't want to see a baby. But mostly I want to see my friend because she can talk to me and we have a relationship. The baby is cute. And I'll be like, oh, it's a baby. That's nice. But my friend is my friend. It's that baby. This is an excuse to visit my friend. See, I'm already, like, my hair's already falling out. It's gonna be a beautiful day. So I have not gone to visit yet, though, because she had a whole bunch of family in to visit the baby. And I called her, and she was like, oh, I very pointedly said, are you exhausted? Do you want me to wait till later to come visit you? She was like, yes, thank you for asking. So we wait to go visit. So I did not do that. So my shenanigans are very, very slim. And then as you'll see, my finished objects are very slim. Well, I have, okay, but my progress of knitting is very slim. Like, I only even have, like, I only brought one work in progress to even show you because, quite frankly, that's the only thing I've even worked on. Right. So a lot of bags. But I will tell you this other shenanigan. Okay. Okay, for one thing, last week I said that I might do the swint episode. This is the fermented swint cleaning of fleece episode in this today. I can't even talk. I'm not going to because it's been very damp here and that's still not dry. And I know I need to wash it again anyway, but I still want to see like the progress of when it's actually dry. Frequently when you, okay, here's a real basic overview. Fermented swint was theoretically developed in Australia because they don't have a good water. Lots of times the big ranches did not have good water resources, and I'm sure they still don't, because a lot of times those ranches are in the desert too, or close to it. Okay. So they have very limited water resources. So they developed or they redeveloped. I'm sure this has been thought of somewhere else in the olden times, but they do this fermentation method where you basically where you put the fleece in a big bucket of water and you just let it chill. The swint, which is like sheep sweat that's in the fleece already, will be activated by the water and it creates a basic solution, which is like a soap that will clean the fleece. And then what happens is you just reuse that water over and over and it becomes a better resource for cleaning as it gets grosser. But the fleece itself, I am told, when it dries, does not smell bad at all. And so, like, if you have a low grease fleece to wash, it's a great method for that because as long as the grease content's not very high, you actually may not even need to do a hot water wash. I will need to do a hot water wash on mine because A, it's the first time anything is fermented in there, so it's not as strong. It's not as super activated yet by nature's awesome powers. But also because I think my fleece was a little bit, oh, I forgot to look that up again. My fleece was a little bit greasier than like a low grease fleece. So basically you just let it chill in there and then take it out and you let it dry. That's all you have to do. Isn't that crazy? So it's a really good method, even if you do have good water resources, if you have a very big fleece or if you have large quantities of fleece to do. Because like if you have a 10-pound fleece, like that's a pain. Or again, if you have larger quantities to do. So there, FYI. But I'll talk more about it next time if I have anything more than that to say, which I may not now that I've just said all that stuff. Whatever. Oh, but then there were other shenanigans that are really not from this week, and they're not even my shenanigans. They're just shenanigans I saw. How lame is that? I'm reaching to the bottom of the barrel, people. But they were so cool. Last time we were at the park, there were these folks that had strung up like these. They looked like, before I saw anybody get them, it looked like they were going to do like tightrope walking. So they strung these lines between these two trees, but the trees were really far apart, like very, very far apart. You know, okay, they were far apart. I don't know. They were like, one of them was like a good 50 feet of line. And I was like, what? And there were these two guys on there, and they had two children with them. And they were like walking on these ropes between the trees, but the line was so long that there'd be slack in it. So it wasn't like a perfectly tight rope, rigid to walk on. The rope like moves as they're walking, and they were totally walking on the rope. And we were mystified. We were like, how are they even doing that? Like they weren't doing anything fancy. I later found out there were tricks and things. They weren't doing anything fancy, but it was still amazing. And then one of the lines, the shorter line, like looked like a bungee cord. I mean, it didn't look like a bungee cord because I couldn't see it. But the action in it looked like it was like a bungee cord. Like the guy was like boom, boom as he was walking. It was very bouncy. Now, these ropes are not very high up. They're like maybe mid-thigh level. I think the one longer one was a little bit higher. Probably because it was so long. If you would have had it lower, it would have touched the ground. It may have been like hip level. But it was so cool. These gentlemen looked very fit. They were youngish, not like teenage. One of them had children that were like my kid's age. You know, so they were not super young, but they were youngish. And they were just like cruising, jumping. And then later on, the kids were sitting on the line. They were trying to walk on it, and they couldn't, which, of course, and then they were just bouncing on the line. They were just sitting on it and bouncing, which looked awesomely fun. And then they let my kids try to walk on it. Well, my kid. We were with other kids, so I say kids. But they let our kids try to walk on it. It was so cool. They were just strung up between these trees. It was like just, boom, circus. It was so cool. So I did research. I found it's called slacklining. Do you know what this is? Mel of Single Hidden Knit, so it is. She told me. She's on the beach and she's fancy. They do it on the beach a lot, which makes sense. There's sand. And those are totally cool trees, which are slickery and perfect for this thing. Oh, and by the way, they totally had wraps around the tree to protect the tree. So they were totally awesome. But this whole thing, it's like a new thing. And there's all different kinds of lines. There's like 10 to 15 different kinds. But the main one is the really bouncy one. If you saw, evidently, while I YouTubed, there was at the halftime show, I guess, this year, the football halftime show, Super Bowl. We don't watch sports. Evidently, during Madonna's performance, one of the champion slackliners did a thing in a toga. Do you remember that? Did you see that? That's what he was doing. It was slacklining the thing. So there's all these videos of these people doing this crazy stuff. And they do like crazy tricks, like where they bounce and flip. And they land on this 2-inch wide thing. And they just do weird. And there's people that do yoga on it because they're fancy. It is so awesome. So you know I'm really trying not to buy one, right? I checked the weight limit. I'm safe. Shh. Because that was one of the first questions I had. What is the weight limit for said slacklining? But I did see one picture where there were like 4 people on one line. And even though they were small humans, I'm not for small humans. So, anyway. Nobody else in my family is even like remotely excited. I'm like, I think we should do this. My daughter's like, that looks really hard. I'm like, well, of course it's hard. Things in life are hard. You have to try to do things. My daughter's not very good at that. She's like, I've not mastered this task after 27 seconds. I'm done. It's too hard. Don't be like that. Anyway, it looks super awesome and I totally want to buy it. Even though it's totally crazy. Whatever. Spinning, knitting, slacklining, being awesome. That sounds like me. Anyway. So if you do this, you have to tell me about it. Tell me all about it. We need to have a cool slacklining knitting posse. Okay, really, I'm just being crazy at this point. I need to shush. Okay, so let's talk about stuff. I have a finished sewing object. I'm going to show you, even though I don't normally do that, because I'm just going to. My friend who's having her baby. Oh, I just dropped an object. It's far away. Clearly, I should slackline. I'm like, oh, I just dropped it. It's very far away. Yeah. I should try an extreme sport. Sometimes they string the line between like cliffs and walk over the ocean. Are you kidding me? They totally do. People are crazy. That's not what I want to do. That's nuts. I just want to string it between two trees. Like have impromptu circus time. That's all I want. So, I made my tie carrier for my friend. For the baby. Isn't it cute? But this is the reason you should not make my tie carriers for your babies, for your friend's baby at 4 a.m. Now you're like, why did you make that at 4 a.m.? I woke up. I don't know. I couldn't go back to sleep. So I was like cutting out the fabric. So I had already cut out the straps. So that was good. But because you get to rip them, which is so fun. They're made of canvas. Mine are made of canvas. And so you can just like snip, rip, which is awesome because the straps are like 3 yards long. So trying to cut that and make it even would be a pain. But you just get to rip them, which is awesome. What was I going to say? Oh, so but I was cutting out this fabric and the whole like body part. It's flannel inside. You can use minky or something like that, but it's hot. I don't want that minky stuff next to me. Anyway, or the baby that I'm pretending to be at the moment. But so I was all like super careful and I centered my Fridas very perfectly. And then I just cut one of their heads off. Really? It's supposed to be all perfect and like two just lovely Fridas being happy. And then I just cut one of their heads off. Like just first cut. Foink! I looked at it and I was like, you idiot. But whatever. It's the first one. The first one you make is always kind of crummy. And this one's a little crummy. There's imperfections a go-go. You can't, well, you can see that looks wonky, right? Mm. But anyway, it's totally awesome. You put your baby in there, and then you tie it around yourself, and then you get your baby like, hey, baby, what's up? Isn't that cool? So I'm very excited about that. It has insanely long straps, so I wasn't sure how long to make them. So I made them long enough to fit me, which means they're going to be way too long for her, so I need to trim them down. But I didn't know how much to trim them down. But anyway. Yay, finished objects! Yay, trying something new! I don't know, I think it turned out pretty good. It's very sturdy, of course. And it was not that complicated. When I looked at it originally, I was like, Murr! But it really was not that complicated. And it didn't include very much fiddliness at all. That's my big thing, is fiddliness. Just like in the knitting, the fiddly. But it was not bad. So yay! You're like, why did you even show us that? You didn't really show us anything. I was just proud, so hush. Next. Finished object. I'll show you the spinning one. I finished my diabolical. I'm just using her bag again because I'm thrifty like that. Her superwash Cheviot in the colorway. So yay, I finished that. It's my first yarn of my new little ladybug. I think it turned out quite well. And I got like 400 yards out of 4 ounces. I know that some of you, the experienced spinners, are like, whatever, we do that in our sleep. But that's the most I've ever gotten out of 4 ounces. And I wasn't trying that hard. It was awesome. And I think it's very pretty. It is scratchy. But It's not like crazy. It's just a little crunchy, you know? Just a little crunchy. It's not bad. You see it at all? I'm such a Diane fail. Diane's so good at showing her spinning. Probably because her spinning is beautiful. Whatever. So yeah, that. It's about a fingering weight. I do find that I'm spinning differently on this new wheel. I think it's partly because of the way, because I'm sitting in a comfy chair. I discussed last week that I can sit in a comfy chair now. I think that's part of it, because my traditional way to spin on my Luette is to do backward, like a supported long draw-ish. Like I move my right arm a lot. And when you're sitting in a chair, you don't have as much, the range of motion is in a comfy chair. When you're sitting in that kind of chair, your range of motion is just not big enough on your right, well, it's not for me anyway. On my right arm, it's just not big enough, so I find that I am doing more of an inchy worm kind of thing, like a short forward draw. Definitely still letting the twist go into the fiber, because that's just kind of what my default is. But more of a short forward. This hand is holding still, and this hand is drafting out. Just because of where I'm sitting. So that's different. But really the yarn itself is, well, it's hard to tell because I've never spun on this base before, but it seems relatively similar to the other way, which makes sense. They're both allowing the twist into the fiber rather than you controlling the twist. You know what I mean? Like it lets the twist into the drafting area, the drafting triangle, versus not allowing the twist in there. So, I don't know a lot. I'm self-taught. Some of you were like, you're so wrong. You're totally making that up. Shush, that's what I think. So there. Okay, now I'm going to pause, quite frankly, because this is ridiculous. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I'm back. While I was gone, I also looked up the Cheviot book, because I meant to do that last week. I just totally forgot. So, of course, this is the Fleece and Fiber source book. There's the Cheviots. Aren't they cute? Evidently, they're a very active sheep, and so they're used lots of times for training border collies. How cool is that? But anyway, it agrees pretty much with my assessment. It is there's a big range in softness, just like any not super standardized breed, because there are several variants and things like that, but that they can be a crispier wool. So okay. There's more, but you have that book probably. Anyway. Okay, so next, work in progress. Oh, I should have talked about that first. Oh, well, I'll talk about it in a minute. Oh, no, it's not work in progress. It's finished objects. Did I say that? It's crochet. My slippers! Your little footsie goes in there. I'm sorry, I don't even know what the pattern's called. I just realized that. I'll put it in the show notes, which I hope to actually do this week, which I didn't last week. Sorry, I lied. Didn't mean to, but I just realized it. It's a free pattern. It's basically just 6 granny squares stitched together. Mine is made with Noro. I apologize. I have no idea. It's the worsted weight one, the Queron or Curon or whatever it is. But I don't know what the color, because it was a hand-me-down. But hers are very pretty. The ones in the pattern are super pretty. She used like, I don't know, something real, like Madeline Tosh or something. Not this isn't real, but you know what I mean. But this is the reason I made crazy crocheted slippers. Okay, I always, every time I look at slipper patterns for like holidays or whatever, I love the way these kind of look. I love a really super homey granny style slipper. They're so cute, right? Have you seen the ones that are like these, but they're boots? Like there's another, there must be another square sewn here or something, and they're like booties, but they're all crazy, like they're actual like boots, but they're super crazy like this. And of course you can do this with knitting too. You just make garter squares or whatever you want it to do. You can make just squares, 6 squares, and she shows you how to sew them together, like what order you would sew them together. But anyway, the reason I made these random slippers in May while it's 80 degrees outside, because by the way, it was like 90 degrees in fact when I made these. I might have my new fancy wheel, right? It's so new and so pretty. Except that I'm a hillbilly. And I don't know how to wear shoes or socks, especially if it's not freezing cold. I will wear socks if it is cold. Like if my toenails might turn blue because that's how cold it is, I'll wear socks. Even though I love my wool socks, and I'm not lying. I still don't like to wear socks. I like wool socks more than any other socks and won't wear any other socks. But I still don't like socks because I'm a hillbilly. I'm sorry, it's in my blood. Genetically or something. So the problem with this is that I constantly have dirty feet. Like my whole family likes to make fun of how dirty my feet are all the time. I know some of you are like, ew, shush, they're feet. I'm not eating with them. They are on the ground. Anyway, we have an obsession with cleanliness in this country. It's out of control. Anyway. So I always have black feet in the summer. Like always. Except for like 10 minutes after I shower. Feet are just gross. They are. I'm sorry. Admit it. Admit it. But the problem is that then when I go to spin, I'm going to get my dirty feet all over my wheel. And you're like, didn't you have another wheel? Didn't you have this problem last time? Well, my other wheel has a very dark finish on it. And it just never seemed to be a problem. Maybe I wasn't spinning as much. Or maybe because it was already old and kind of already had a shadow mark there, it's just not as noticeable. But this wheel is very light colored. And it's all, if I get dirty feet on it, it's clearly my fault and not somebody else's that I can blame. So I debated for quite some time. And I'm still debating, quite frankly. Should I make like an actual cover around my treadle? I think I might still do that. But I'm just not there yet right now. Or should I just make myself some, because I won't put on socks. Like, that's way too much work. I know, right? I'm lazy and I have dirty feet. Just hate me. Whatever. I'm admitting all my faults. Not really. There are more. But I know I'm not going to put socks on because I'm going to be like, it's hot. It's going to be like that, right? You're like, no. It's putting on socks. That's how I am. So I know that I'm not going to do it. So I had to make myself something that would be very easy to slide on, that I could slide off when I'm walking somewhere else because I don't want to get these dirty and then put these dirty on there, even though it wouldn't be as dirty because there wouldn't be like the oils in my feet, like schnooking the dirt to the pedal. That's a scientific word. So I decided I need to make slippers, but I can't make regular heavy-duty slippers because it's going to be too hot. And hi, we're back to point A, where the socks are. So I decided to make something silly. And I love these slippers, and I think they're super cute, but they're not realistic for me to wear during the winter because, hi, they're full of holes. They're granny squares, yo. But they're perfect for this! And actually, I still want to make some cotton ones. But I didn't have any I didn't have cotton enough yarn. I didn't have cotton enough yarn or enough cotton yarn to do that with. I had, like, some weird, like, little bits of, like, multiple colored dishcloth yarn, but I didn't want to use that. I wanted to use pretty yarn. Because, you know, spinning is all aesthetics. So these are my, in the meantime, solution. Because I had this and it was enough to do nothing with. Except making random slippers. I love them! I did not do the, like, different rounds and different... Like, because originally I thought, I'll just do from two ends of the ball. And do, you know... And these, by the way, are like a ball and a little bit. I'll just do from two ends of the ball and do one round. And then go the other end of the ball and do the next round. I didn't even do that. Because I'm not lazy. And also, I was just enjoying how it was looking. So anyway, I totally dig them. I might still make some sort of actual treadle cover, though. I just haven't decided how to do that. Should I quilt it and then, like, make it? Because, you know, I don't want to take off the footman and slide it on. Like, that just seems like that's a pain. I would rather it be something that I kind of... So I don't know if I'll, like, make little ties on it. Or if I'll put buttons on it. I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to knit it? Am I going to sew it? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But, totally dig these. H-hook. I don't like to crochet, but I love to make a granny square. Because my problem with crochet is I never know where to put my hook. But in the granny square, it's very clear because there's always like a hole that you're putting your hook into. I don't know how to hook. It's too confusing. So yay! Hooking it granny style. Old school hooking. Yo. I don't know what else should I say about those. Ta-da! I dig them. Okay. Next work in progress. Well, actually, the only work in progress. Well, okay, I'll show you my spinning work in progress. This is my yarn from Godiva. This is my yarn. This is my Falkland from Godiva Yarns, and they're just numbered colorways, so I don't have it. you really want to know, you can ask me, but I don't think they're repeatable. By the way, the lady from Godiva Yarns sent me a very nice message. So thanks for mentioning that you saw her on the show. That's very helpful to the podcasters. So this is 4 ounces of Falkland. Brown is so awesome. Brown is awesome, people. I love brown. This is brown and like a rosy-ish brown. I don't know if you remember seeing it. But then, so this is 8 ounces. This is 4 ounces on one bobbin. And then I'm spinning this color, 4 ounces on another bobbin. And they're going to play together. It's going to be beautiful. I hope. So this, so you can see little bits in here where that's like that color. I think it's going to be beautiful. What do you think? This is very lovely to spin. Falkland, it drafts very nicely. There is occasionally a little nub, but nothing obnoxious. And then, should I show you that now? No, I'll show you that later. I may have bought more because she had a sale. Okay, next work in progress. Ah! It's my owl! My Xavier the Owl by Rebecca Danger. It's made in fingering weight on size 0s. Here's a wing. He would just fly in circles right now. So he's got another wing on the needles. And as you can see, you pick up the stitches, and she tells you where to leave markers. So you know where to pick them up. Did I say I'm knitting it on size 0s? I believe I did. This is fingering weight. This is 100% superwash merino. This is mine in that bead in my ear colorway for my daughter. And then this is O loops, and I apologize, I still don't know where, I think it's called the Stargazer colorway, but it's also 100% superwash merino. And they're the same thing where they're like the 2-ply, the tight 2-ply. So yes, I need to finish a wing, and I need to put the feetses on, and I need to put the eyes on. The eyes are so cute in the pattern. She uses like Gimungo safety eyes. They're huge, which I love the way they look. She's brilliant. But of course I won't use safety eyes because it's safety eyes for a baby. Not that she's going to play with it because she's a baby, but she will eventually. So I guess I'm going to embroider the eyes on, even though I don't like that nearly as much. Or maybe I'll make like a crochet circly bit with the multicolor and then stitch on top of that. Maybe that's what I'll do. Is that still safe? I guess theoretically they could still chew that off, but they won't. It's going to be on there with embroidery floss. It's going to be fine, right? Right. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make like a little circle with the multicolor and then embroider it down. Because the reason I don't like to do the embroidered eyes so much is it's very hard to make them look even on the knitted surface. But I think on the crochet that would be solid enough, right? I think that's what I might do. We'll see next time, hopefully. Bag from Girl Cave, or sorry, I also have bags from Girl Cave Bags. She's lovely, but this one is from the Kitchen Counter Crafter, Java Jenny. Yay! All right, now there's stuff. If you're playing in the Orange Cow, hopefully you are. I got a new prize for you, and one for me. Sam of the Knit Run Dig podcast also makes bags. Did you know that? She also makes stitch markers. Did you know that? She has a shop. It's Knit Run Dig on Etsy. Have you watched her podcast? You should, because it's like a great combination. It's knitting, running, and archaeology in England. What? Not even kidding you. Shut up. But don't. So that one's yours. Look, it's so pretty and orange. And as my daughter pointed out, which I don't know if you can see, but it has the lovely gold on it. But you can't tell. Yeah, you can kind of see. She was very excited about that option. She was like, Mom, it's got gold in it. Like, I know it's very fancy. We're very fancy here. So it's a lovely, lovely, large project bag. Yay! Thanks, Sam. And then I got one too. Mine might have some squirrels on it. Okay. Right there. And then, and the lining is, but then look at this. You people are so awesome. Do you see this ribbon of insanity? It's squirrels. That's like their pictures. So technology is weird that they can even make that on ribbon. What is that? So how cute is that? Thank you. People, I'm not even kidding you. You really need to participate in the Orange Cow because your prizes are awesome. Joyous Springs donated a font bag. It's super cute. Now I have the lovely one from Knit Run Dig Sam. There's one more in the mail. There might be fiber coming. And there's a yarn and maybe your yarn. I'm not even kidding you. It's crazy. Everybody is so generous. Thank you. Okay, so then I may have bought more from Godiva. Okay, I may have bought way more. It was on sale, it was like 20% off. My fiber stash is getting low. At all. But I didn't go to the Kentucky Festival. So clearly I needed to compensate. Whatever. It was on sale. I couldn't help it. Ridiculous. So I got these two to go together. Here, I'll show you that. Backside. So we are. Wait, it's this one. So simple. And I got these two. And these are all the Falkland. I love Falkland so much. People are like, it's just merino or Polworth or something. You're right, it is. But the sheep on the Falkland Islands don't get dipped because they don't have as much insect problems there. So I feel more self-righteous using it there. And it's soft. I always feel guilty when I use merino. Is that silly? But I do. I'm always like, I'm totally promoting the, it's like not monoculture. Is it monoculture when it's actually animals? Does that count? Whatever. I'm promoting like sheepish monoculture. I'm such a bad person. So I feel guilty, even though it's so soft. I still feel guilty. But somehow when it's Falkland, I don't feel guilty. Now somebody's going to be like, this is the reason you should feel guilty for using that. Hush! I don't care. Shush. It's guilt-free merino-y Polworth. And maybe something else, because who knows. And this is the last ones. And these. Okay, so that's all. Oh my gosh, I talked way too long to have nothing to say. What's up with my face? But I'll totally see you next week. I think that's all really for sure. Don't forget, next week's will be delayed. It is a holiday here in the U.S., and I will not be recording until at least Tuesday. If I am not unconscious, I will record on Tuesday from exhaustion.